Hello and welcome to The Turn. My name is James Buffin and the theme of this week's episode is rumination. And there may be some surprises in this episode for you if you have heard or have been told that rumination is not a place to dwell in, is not a place that is great to be in or to stay. Now, there's a fine line, of course, and I don't want to talk you out of what you've been told by professionals, if that's what you like to believe. However, at the same time, I would like to encourage you to expand and maybe look at this as well as any other information that you might already have on this concept of rumination. So please enjoy, and I hope you find this useful and meaningful. Thank you.
Self-pity is really bad because what it does is it brings the attention all on you. It keeps you sucked into yourself, and if we stay within ourselves, we will beat ourselves up and we'll wallow in that self-pity. We'll become unhealthy. Our negative thoughts will lead to negative behaviors and negative emotions, all of those kinds of things.
The only thing that comes to my mind in rumination is where it's repetitive pattern over and over again, where it's taken me actually both down and up in the same way is in love and relationship. And where it's always taken me down is to the place of familiarity. That means sexual abuse, that means physical abuse, that means disempowerment, attracting that is what's familiar to me. So I constantly had that kind of relationship happening in rumination.
When we express our energy outward and look beyond ourselves and connect with another human being on a deep level and look for ways to help another human being, we're achieving a very, we're being in a very spiritual place. When we look towards somebody else and say, I empathize with you, then you're stepping into their experience in terms of bringing them into community and helping them get past that. You can't do that if you're stuck in self-pity. Woe is me. That's living from the smaller parts of ourself, the more base part of ourself. You stay in that self-pity kind of area where it's all about you. And then everything has to be about you, and then everything is a reflection of you. So you look at somebody that's driving down the road really fast, and that's about you. Why is that person driving so fast? They splashed me with a puddle, and that person, then that becomes about how you were harmed. Meanwhile, how do we know that that person in a car isn't rushing a baby to a hospital? Would we think about it differently? If we stepped out of ourselves and looked at the other person's experience, we might understand better why that person is behaving in that way. And if that person has been harmed before, maybe our experience can help that person transcend to a bigger place. You can't do that when you're in self-pity. You can't do that when you're in yourself. You have to move outside of yourself. And I tell you, it's a great break from being in that self-pity. It's heavy, it's hard, the feeling is not good. When we step out of ourselves for a little bit, it's a nice break.
When it allowed me to go, no more of that, it was seeing that I had choice to actually stop it. Like go, you know what, that's not acceptable, it's not tolerated, I don't believe in this, it's not going to work, it's not a match for me, right? So it's just now at 48 I've been able to say no more, right? There's no more repeated, like that's where it's helped me go, and I don't bring in the familiar anymore.
Life is a journey. It's not all good and it's not all bad. And when you have the ability to glance over that and pick out those things where you can make a difference in other people's lives and how you can serve, then the growth is phenomenal.
Thank you for joining us in this episode of The Turn, where we explored the theme of rumination. Next week's theme is role models. And not only what it means for survivors themselves to have role models, but what it means for people who are role models to survivors, and in our context is peer facilitators or facilitators of peer group support groups for adult survivors of child sex abuse. What that dynamic is all about, and how empowering it can be to participate from either side of the equation. So please come back for the next episode where we look at role models.